established about 60 years ago for training of medical students. So it's really a pleasure for us to be here. And like the moderator just said, the university in 70 years, we've made some modest achievements. So we are looking forward to the next 70 years. And we hope with the support of the eminent guests in this auditorium, I mean, the sky is not even the limit for the University of Ibadan. I mean, there are challenges, but those challenges are not insurmountable. And talking globally, we know that higher education is not only generally significant for development, but tertiary education is the driver for development in the contemporary world. So most countries of the world, whether developing or underdeveloped, they have to take higher education seriously. So you cannot really achieve much if your higher education system is mediocre. And of course that calls for a lot of investment. In the knowledge economy, higher education is generally required to drive competitiveness in order to transform national economy. So virtually anything we do, we have to factor in the higher education system. And for us in the Sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria in particular, there are 4 main issues that still has to be faced in terms of higher education. First has to do with the issue of the assets. How do we provide the tertiary education for our timid youths who finish from secondary school? In Nigeria, not less than 1,500,000 candidates seek university admission every year. But it turns out that all the universities together, their carrying capacity is clearly more than 300,000, or maybe less than 600,000. Then the rest, where do they go? I mean, because some people will think the university population is increasing, but the truth of the matter also is that the gross enrollment ratio, and when you look at those who finish from secondary school, the percentage of the number of them who are able to transfer to education is still very small compared with the rest of the world. For Nigeria, it's only about 6-7%, which is lower than 6%, which is the average for Sub-Saharan Africa. But in the developed world, it's like of the order of 60%. So we still have a long way to go. So I've talked of the issue of assets. And again, you cannot just increase your enrollment without looking at the facilities that you have on ground. I think our Excellency also alluded to that in the brilliant speech. The next one has to do with, well, I think we say it's funding, but for us we see it as an investment. Investment in higher education is a major problem. Like in Nigeria, there's a federal government policy to the effect that Nigerian undergraduates should not be charged tuition fees, which I think makes a lot of political sense. And all of us in this auditorium know that politics is superior to economics. So almost any decision you make, we have a political undertone. It makes a lot of sense for government to say that we do not charge tuition fees in the public universities. But again, higher education is very expensive, whether it's in Nigeria, Namibia, or any other part of the world for that matter. So someone has to pick up the bill. And if you don't have things like scholarship schemes or bursary schemes for the indigent students, then many of them are going to be disenfranchised, which is also not good for the system. A brilliant student should not be denied the opportunity of pursuing higher education just because his parents are not in a position to pay for his or her fees. So apart from access, we have the issue of investment or funding, if you like. Then the related issue has to do with the quality of what we offer. I mean, the challenge is that our graduates, they have decided that maybe they are not employable. But to me, I think it's a very complex situation. If you are producing a first-class accountant, and your economy, I mean, if you produce, let's say, 2,000 accountants in Nigeria in a year, and the economy is not able to absorb more than 300 of them, it's not to say that the rest are not competent, just because the economy is not in a position to absorb the majority of them. You find out that in a place like Lagos, most of the warehouses that factories were using for their products are now turned into religious houses, because most of those industries are closed down. And when you talk of the private sector, people will wonder why is even the private sector in Nigeria. Maybe a small scale enterprise, many of them they are produced from Nigeria for 1,001 reasons. Maybe power supply or the economic situation is not particularly favorable. The exchange rate is not considered favorable because the people who are in business, they have to look at the bottom line, they have to report to their shareholders at the end of the financial year. So we have the issue of equality. Then there's also the related issue of gender. It's already the girl child. For us, at the University of Ibadan, I think we are almost reach a situation in which for our students at undergraduate admission, it's almost 50-50 between male and female. So that is not so much of a challenge. That will not be applicable to all the universities in the sub-region. But even at that, for our academic staff, it's only about 27% of our academic staff that are female. So we still have a long way to go to maintain the gender parity. So some of the issues that we have to do, and one thing that is for the public universities in Nigeria, we observe that their fortunes will depend on the fortune of the country. So when in the last quarter of maybe from 2014 to 2015, just shortly before President Buhari came on board, the price of crude oil was nosediving. Government then was almost borrowing money to pay salaries. So it's just like we're waiting for me to assume the office of the Vice Chancellor. Things just took a turn for the worse. Right from December 2015, it was becoming increasingly difficult for us to be able to even pay the salaries of our staff. But somebody like me, I could relate with it that the government itself, the amount of money available to the government as our proprietors was dwindling. So there was no way to not affect us sooner than later. So even though our staff, they find it difficult to understand and want to see where they were coming from, they say just go and provide the money. Just go, and it's good that the chairman of the Senate Committee on Education is my boss in Abuja is here. So he's listening to this. So I'm sure when he goes back to Abuja, he will appropriate more funds to his university, the University of Ibadan. So we need to increase the investment in higher education. But again, one of our former vice chancellor, who is a historian, 20 years ago, when university turned 50, there was a publication where he contributed a chapter there, Professor Munjaliwo, used to be Federal Minister of Economic Development under General Obasanjo in the late 70s. He made the point that the fortune of the University of Ibadan is tied to the fortune of the federal government. And to me, it's very simple. If the federal government itself is not buoyant, then the government also has a lot of competing demands. The health sector is there, the roads, we want to fix Kano, Kaduna Expressway, Onitsha-Enugu Highway, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So education may not be the only priority of the government, even though UNESCO says you should spend 26% of your GDP. But again, like His Excellency, the governor of Kano State mentioned yesterday, when we were at the House of Commons, that the politician, they have a just 4-year cycle. He has to be interested in what is going to show his constituents. So if he sends 2,000 students to Germany or UK, I mean, that will take a long, it has a long gestation period. But if it fixes a 50-kilometer road, you can always go down the building towards the one that is and cross the river. So these are issues. Because, he has to go back to his people at the end of 4 years. Otherwise, the opposition will also use it to campaign against him. Some of you who are familiar with Nigeria who are part of the technology of stomach infrastructure. So they say, why are you tying roads? Why can you not tar our stomach? So tar our stomach is not some roads. So we need to expand the infrastructure and other facilities on the various campuses. I've mentioned the issue of the widening access. And in the case of Nigeria, when we talk of higher education, it's not only the universities, unlike in the UK, where all the polytechnics have been converted into universities. In Nigeria, you still have polytechnics, colleges of education, school of agriculture, school of nursing, and all of them are tertiary institutions. Then you observe also that when candidates apply to the joint admissions and matriculation for which is like the UCAS in the UK, 95% of them they apply to universities, not to polytechnics. Even those who think they are confident to go to polytechnics, because when they are there, they are also busy applying for admission to the universities. So the universities are, to that extent, oversubscribed. And Nigeria operates a federal structure. So you have the federal government. The federal government now has about 46 universities, one in each state. A few states have more than one university. Each state government is also allowed to establish a university because education is on the concurrent list. And that one is even the easiest thing to do. All the governors is to send a draft bill to the House of Assembly that want to establish some state university at a later. Then once the House of Assembly passes the law, then they go to the university. All they need to do is to seek concurrence of the National Universities Commission. So you find out that the federal universities are the cheapest, and to that extent that they are generally oversubscribed. Then the state universities are slightly cheaper than the federal universities. They also have a fairly large number of candidates. I think Kano State, because the governor is an alumnus of the University of Ibadan, he has 2 state universities. one of the few states that have more than one state university. And on the other hand, you have the private universities that started operating, I think, about 1999 towards the end of the military regime. But now, so 1999, that was about 19 years ago. That's when the private universities started coming on board. And now we have quite a large number of them. But it turns out that most candidates will ordinarily like to go to Bayero University, Kano, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, University of Ibadan, and federal universities, because tuition is free. And it makes a lot of economic sense. If you can go attend a first-class university free of charge, why do you want to go to a private university at a very high cost, relatively? So it turns out that the private universities, they are not heavily subscribed, but maybe it's also taking maybe it takes some time. And because now about 70% of the, maybe about 65% of the enrollment will be for the federal universities. The state universities about 27%, while the private universities are close to about 7-8%. So it's a major scholarship and bursary schemes. There will be more students can access the private universities, because we find out that while the federal universities are oversubscribed, the private universities are undersubscribed for the facilities that they have. So we also have to expand the scope and quality of research that our universities conduct, both basic and applied. Because a university, if you don't do any research, then you are not any different from a glorified secondary school. It is not just by teaching students. They also teach students in primary school and secondary schools. So it's only the research element of it that is that can differentiate the university. It's not just the undergraduates that just teach and all that. Then our excellency who spoke before me mentioned the issue of curricular review. So just to make our degrees and diplomas more relevant to the employers. So we do this one on a regular basis, because what was sufficient 15, 20 years ago will be inadequate now. Like I said yesterday when we had an interaction at the House of Commons, as an undergraduate at the University of Ibadan in the late 70s, I never saw a computer until I came to London for my master's. But now things have changed. Even our students in elementary school, secondary school, back home in Nigeria, they are now familiar with technology. But in spite of that, I see the technology gap between us and the West in terms of ICT delivery. The resources are still limited, the bandwidth and the rest of them, the infrastructure needs to be improved. So then it is important for us in all this that if we appreciate the contribution that higher education can make to national development, then for sustainable national development, then we'll be ready to invest more in higher education. And the point has been made that there is need for more collaboration between academia, government, as well as the private sector, as part of the triple helix. So the academia, we are on one hand there to solve a societal problem. Then government is there on behalf of the people who voted them into power. Then the private sector, who at the end of the day are going to employ most of the graduates from the university system. And some of the areas where APRO are expected to still carry out research include issues of climate change, non-communicable diseases, biotechnology, genomics, nanotechnology, food security, the food energy, water nexus. Renewable energy is a major problem for us as a country and maybe in most parts of sub-Saharan Africa. So our universities are expected to still engage in this. And more and more that we expect the private sector involvement to increase, because government will not be able to attend to all the problems, to just to provide the enabling environment for everyone to thrive. Then the ICT facilities. Then one of the issues that we have to face, that, as we mentioned, has to do with preparing our graduates for the world of work. The 4 years, 5 years that they spend in university should be such that we don't teach them what to think, but just to be able to teach them how to think. And now at the University of Ibadan, for example, the National Universities Commission for Nigerian University System, they expect students to take a course in philosophy and logic. But we have gone ahead to say that critical thinking, which is just a component of philosophy, is important. So starting from last session, I think all of our undergraduates, irrespective of whether they're in humanities or science or in medicine or architecture, they have to take courses in the philosophy, logic, and critical thinking. Because the employer is not often now is interested in the course we read in university, but your ability to be able to think. And we believe that the youths of Africa, they are very intelligent, they are very smart. they may have issues with the communication and all that, insofar as English, we are for countries that English is not their mother tongue. So at times to express themselves will be a problem. That's not to say that are not intelligent. So we also think we need to develop their soft skills. So at the University of Ibadan, we established a career development and counseling center. In fact, yesterday and the day before, they had a sensation workshop for students in their final year. How do you write your CV when you go for interview? Some of these things are available on YouTube, which the young folks are more at home with. Just for us to go the extra mile to prepare them for the world of work. But because it doesn't do us any good, if 90% of our graduates are not able to find employment 1 year after finishing the university, then it means there's a gap that we need to fill. We will not be able to fix them up in employment, at least we know that we prepare them. And the world out there is becoming this more competitive by the day. So they are going to compete with people who finish from Nairobi, from Witwatersrand, or from New York, or London, Manchester. So we are abreast of that, and in spite of the limitations that we may have in terms of facilities and the ICT robustness, but we are aware of exactly what to do, and we are making efforts. And also, the university had a grant a few years ago, about 10 years ago, from the Mercator Foundation of New York,